6 months had passed since the confrontation with the Imperial fleet. The galaxy had changed in ways. No one expected that the broadcast that Doyon had sent reached every corner of known space. Billions of beings watched the evidence of the Emperor's plan. They heard Yuna speak against her father. They saw the Emperor threaten to kill millions of innocent people for resources. And they saw a human, a simple cargo pilot, stand against the most powerful fleet in the galaxy and win. The news spread like fire. On hundreds of planets, people talked about the human who saved the alien princess. They talked about his courage, his cleverness, his refusal to give up even when victory seemed impossible. For many species, it was the first time they had really noticed humanity. Humans were a young species. They had only been in space for a few hundred years. They had no great empires, no powerful fleets, no advanced technology. Other species saw them as primitive, unimportant, barely worth noticing. But now they noticed. On Earth, the video of Doyon and Yuna facing the Emperor became the most watched recording in history. People who had never cared about space suddenly wanted to know more. They wanted to meet this Han Doyon who had made them proud to be human. They wanted to meet the alien princess who had chosen humanity over her own empire. The governments of Earth reached out. They offered protection, resources, a home. At first, Doyon was suspicious. He had left Earth because there was nothing for him there. Why should he return? But Yuna saw opportunity. Your people are waking up, she told him. They are starting to understand that they are not alone in the galaxy. They need leaders who can show them the way forward. They need you. I'm not a leader. I'm just a cargo pilot. You were a cargo pilot. Now you are something more. Whether you wanted it or not, you have become a symbol. A symbol of what humanity can be. So they went to Earth. The landing was unlike anything Doyon had imagined. Thousands of people had gathered to welcome them. Not just humans, but representatives from dozens of alien species, who had seen the broadcast and wanted to meet the beings who had challenged the Valari Empire. Yuna stepped off the Morning Star first. The sunlight of Earth touched her blue skin and white hair, making her look like something from a dream. The crowd fell silent, staring at this alien princess who had given up everything for what she believed was right. Then Doyon stepped out beside her. He was the same man who had left Earth years ago with nothing but an old ship and desire to be free. But now he carried himself differently. He had seen things no other human had seen. He had done things no other human had done. The crowd cheered. It was a sound like thunder, shaking the ground beneath their feet in the weeks that followed. Doyon and Yuna met with the leaders of Earth. They talked about the galaxy, about the Valari Empire, about the threats and opportunities that awaited humanity among the stars. They talked about the planet that the Emperor had wanted to destroy, which was now under the protection of a coalition of species who had been moved by Yuna's courage, and they talked about the future. The Valari Empire will not forget what happened. Yuna warned the Earth leaders. My father is patient. He will wait for the attention to fade, for the galaxy to forget, and then he will take his revenge. Not just on me and Doyon, but on all of humanity. Then what do? Asked the leader of the United Earth Council, a woman named Park Sujin. You prepare, Yuna said. You build ships. You make alliances. You show the galaxy that humanity is not a species to be ignored or destroyed. You show them that when humans fight together, they can accomplish anything. And you will help us? Yuna looked at Doyon. He nodded slightly. Yes, she said. I will share everything I know about Valari technology, about the galaxy, about the enemies and friends you have not yet met. I will stand with humanity, as humanity stood with me. The alliance was formed that day. It was called the Earth-Valari Accord, though Yuna was quick to point out that she represented only herself, not the Valari Empire. But the name stuck. It was a symbol of something new, something that had never existed before. A year later, the first ships of the new Earth fleet launched into space. They were not as powerful as Valari warships, not as fast or as deadly, but they were built with human determination and Valari knowledge combined. They were the first step towards something greater. Doyan commanded one of these ships. He had not asked for the job, but when they offered it to him, he could not say no. His cargo pilot days were over. Now he was Admiral Han Dayan of the Earth Fleet. Yuna stayed by his side. She had been true to her word that day on the Morning Star when she held his hand and promised to face the future with him. Where he went, she went. They were partners in every sense of the word. On the day the fleet launched, they stood together on the bridge of their ship, watching Earth grow smaller in the distance. The Morning Star had been retired to a museum where millions of people came every year to see the little ship that had started it all. Do you ever miss it? Yuna asked. The quiet life? Flying alone through the asteroids? Dayan thought about it. He thought about the loneliness, the silence, the endless days with nothing but stars for company. He had once believed that was all he wanted. No, he said finally. I thought I wanted to be alone. I was wrong. Yuna smiled and took his hand. Her skin was still cool, her fingers still soft, but now there was warmth between them that had nothing to do with temperature. I was alone my whole life too, she said. In a palace full of people, I was alone. No one cared about what I thought or felt. I was just a princess, a piece of my father's game. She squeezed his hand. Then I crashed into an asteroid field, and you found me. And I learned what it means to not be alone anymore. We found each other, Doyan corrected. Yes, we did. The fleet moved forward into the darkness of space. Behind them was Earth, the home of humanity. Ahead of them was a galaxy full of wonder and danger, allies and enemies, adventures they could not yet imagine. The Emperor was still out there, waiting. The Valari Empire was still powerful, still angry, still dangerous. There would be battles ahead, struggles, maybe even wars. The future was uncertain, but Dayan was not afraid. He had faced impossible odds before and won. He had gone from being a nobody to being a symbol of humanity's potential. And he had found something he never thought he would find. He had found love. He had found purpose. He had found a home, not in a place, but in a person. Yuna looked up at him, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. Are you ready? Doyan smiled. It was the same smile he had worn when he flew the Morning Star into the asteroid maze, when he faced down 3 warships, when he broadcast the Emperor's secrets to the galaxy. It was a smile of confidence, of hope, of stubborn human refusal to give up. I'm ready, he said. Let's go save the galaxy. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving trails of light behind them. Somewhere in the darkness, the Emperor of the Valari waited, planning his revenge. Somewhere on a young planet, 20 million people looked up at the stars, not knowing how close they had come to death, not knowing that their saviors were out there, watching over them. And somewhere between the stars, Han Doyan and Princess Yuna flew together into whatever came next, proving that even in a galaxy full of ancient empires and powerful beings, the heart of a single human could change everything. This was not the end of their story. It was only the beginning. But whatever chapters came next, they would write them together. A human and an alien, an admiral and a princess. 2 people who had found each other against all odds and refused to let go, because that was what humans did. They hoped when there was no hope. They fought when there was no chance. They loved even when it seemed impossible. And in a galaxy that had forgotten such things, that made them the most dangerous species of all. The Imperial fleet was the most powerful force in the known galaxy. 100 warships, each one carrying enough weapons to destroy a planet. They moved through space like a dark cloud, Blocking out the stars wherever they went. At the center of this fleet was the Emperor's ship. The Eternal Crown. It was bigger than all the others. A floating palace of crystal and metal, home to Emperor Talon, ruler of the Valari Empire for 300 years. Doyen saw all of this on his screen and felt his stomach turn cold. He had fought 3 warships and won. But 100? That was not a fight. That was suicide. Are you sure about this? He asked Yuna. She stood beside him, looking at the fleet that had come to kill her. She was wearing her Valari clothes again, the ones made of liquid silver. She had fixed them during their weeks in hiding. If she was going to face her father, she would face him as a princess. No, she said honestly. But we do not have another choice. They had left the quiet zone 2 days ago. Immediately, the Valari sensors had found them. Doyen had expected them to send more warships. He had not expected the entire Imperial fleet, led by the Emperor himself. But Yuna had not been surprised. My father does not forgive, she had said. He does not forget. When I spoke against him, I became his enemy. And he destroys his enemies completely. Now the fleet was surrounding them. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The Morning Star floated alone in the center of a ring of warships. Like a small fish surrounded by sharks, a message came through the communication system. A face appeared on the screen. It was old and cold, with silver eyes like Yuna's, but without any warmth. Emperor Talon. Daughter, he said. His voice was calm, almost bored. You have caused me much trouble, father. Yuna's voice did not shake. You have come a long way to kill one person. I have come to clean up a mess. You should have stayed quiet. You should have accepted my decision. But you chose to speak, to question, to rebel. Now look where you are. Doyen watched this exchange in silence. He had faced death many times in his life, but never like this. Never so completely surrounded, so absolutely trapped. The planet you want to destroy, Yuna said, has 20 million people. They have just discovered fire. They are building their first villages. They do not know that we exist, that the galaxy exists. And you want to kill them all for resources? Resources that will power our empire for 1,000 years. 20 million primitive lives for the future of trillions of Valari. The calculation is simple. It is murder. It is survival. The Emperor's cold eyes moved to Doyen. And who is this? The human who destroyed my warships? I must admit, I am curious. How did such a primitive creature accomplish such a thing? Doyen spoke for the first time. I'm just a cargo pilot. I got lucky. The Emperor laughed, but there was no humor in it. Lucky? Yes, I suppose that is one way to describe it. But your luck has ended now, human. There is no asteroid maze here. No fuel tanks to explode. Just my fleet and your tiny ship. Father, Yuna stepped forward. I have a proposal. You are in no position to propose anything. I propose a trade. My life for the planet. Let those people live, and I will surrender. I will come aboard your ship. I will die quietly, without any more trouble. Doyen grabbed her arm. Yuna, no. It is the only way, she said softly, not looking at him. I cannot let 20 million people die because of me. They won't die because of you. They'll die because of him. Doyen pointed at the screen where the Emperor was watching them with interest. The human speaks truth, the Emperor said. But it does not matter. Daughter, your proposal is rejected. The planet will be destroyed whether you live or die. And you will die. Both of you. Then why are you waiting? Doyen asked. You have 100 warships. We have nothing. Why talk at all? The Emperor smiled. It was a terrible smile, cold and sharp like a knife. Because I want my daughter to understand. I want her to see that her rebellion was pointless, that everything she did, everything she sacrificed, meant nothing. The planet will burn. She will die. And the galaxy will forget she ever existed. Father, Yuna said, her voice finally showing emotion, when did you become this? When did you stop caring about anything but power? I have always been this. I have always done what is necessary. You were simply too young and foolish to see it. The Emperor waved his hand. Enough talk. Prepare to die. The communication ended. On the screen, Doyan could see the warships beginning to power their weapons. In seconds, they would fire, and the Morning Star would become dust. Yuna, Doyan said quickly, I need you to trust me. I trust you. Good. Then do exactly what I say. He grabbed the communication controls and sent a message. Not to the Volari fleet, but outward in all directions. It was a wide broadcast, using every frequency, every language, every method of communication his ship could manage. What are you doing? Yuna asked. Something crazy. The message was simple. It was the evidence that Yuna had gathered before she ran. The proof of her father's plan to destroy the innocent planet. It included recordings of Imperial meetings, orders signed by the Emperor himself, maps showing the attack plan. Everything. Doyan sent it to every corner of the galaxy. To alien races the Volari traded with. To human colonies. To new stations and governments and anyone who would listen. You cannot do this, Yuna breathed. This will make your father very angry, Doyan said with a grim smile. But it will also make it very hard for him to destroy that planet quietly. On the screen, the warships had stopped powering their weapons. Something was happening in the fleet. Ships were moving, not toward the Morning Star, but toward each other. Messages were flying between them. The Emperor's face appeared on the screen again. He was no longer calm. His silver eyes were burning with rage. What have you done? I sent your secrets to everyone, Doyan said. Right now, the entire galaxy knows what you're planning. If you destroy that planet now, you won't be the emperor of a powerful empire. You'll be the murderer of 20 million innocent lives. Everyone will know. Everyone will remember. I will kill you. I will destroy your planet. I will burn everything you care about. Maybe, but you'll do it in front of the whole galaxy. And I don't think your allies will like that. I don't think your trading partners will like that. I don't think your own people will like that. Yuna understood now what Doyan had done. He had not defeated the fleet with weapons. He had defeated it with truth. The Volari Empire was powerful, but it was not alone in the galaxy. It needed allies, trade, cooperation. If the Emperor acted like a tyrant in front of everyone, he would lose all of that. This changes nothing, the Emperor snarled. You are still surrounded. You will still die. Maybe, Doyan said again. But before I die, I want to say something. My name is Han Doyan. I'm human. I was nobody. I had nothing. But I saved your daughter's life, and I fought your warships, and I just made you look like a fool in front of the whole galaxy. Think about that. A nobody human did all of this. Imagine what we could do if there were more of us. Imagine what humanity could do if we weren't alone. The Emperor stared at him. For the first time, there was something other than anger in his eyes. There was fear. Not fear of Doyan, but fear of what Doyan represented. Fear of what humanity might become. Father. Yuna stepped forward. It is over. You cannot destroy the planet now. The whole galaxy is watching. Your own fleet is confused and divided. End this. Let us go. Save what is left of your honor. My honor? The Emperor laughed bitterly. I have no honor left. My own daughter has destroyed it. No, you destroyed it yourself when you decided to kill millions of innocent people. I am just showing the truth." For a long moment, there was silence. The warships floated around the morning star, their weapons ready but not firing. The whole galaxy seemed to be holding its breath. Then the Emperor spoke. "Go." Doyan blinked. "What?" "Go, before I change my mind. Take my daughter and run to whatever corner of the galaxy will have you. But know this, human. This is not over. The Valari Empire does not forget. We do not forgive. One day, I will find you, and I will make you pay for everything." "I'll be waiting," Doyan said. He turned the morning star and flew. The warships parted to let him through. Yuna stood beside him, watching her father's fleet grow smaller and smaller in the distance. "You did it," she whispered. "You actually did it." "We did it," Doyan corrected. "Without your evidence, I had nothing to broadcast." Yuna turned to look at him. Her silver eyes were wet with tears she was trying not to let fall. "I can never go back," she said. "I can never see my home again." "I know. I'm sorry. Don't be." She took his hand. "I choose this. I choose you. Whatever comes next, I choose to face it with you." Diane squeezed her hand. The morning star flew into the darkness of space, leaving behind 100 warships and an emperor's broken pride. They had won. For now? 3 weeks had passed since the chase through the asteroid belt. Diane and Yuna had found safety in a place she called the Quiet Zone. It was a region of space where strange energy fields made sensors and communication impossible. The Valari warships could not find them here. No one could. The morning star floated slowly through this empty space, its engine running at minimum power to save fuel. Inside, Doyun and Yuna had started to build something neither of them expected. A friendship. Teaching each other to speak was the first challenge. Diane would point at things and say the human word. Yuna would repeat it and then say the Valari word. Slowly, day by day, they built a bridge between their languages. "Water," Doyun said, holding up a cup. "Water," Yuna repeated. Valari word is Nira. Nira, Doyan tried. His pronunciation was not perfect, but Yuna smiled anyway. They learned more than words. They learned about each other. Yuna told Doyan about her home planet. Called Vyler, she spoke of crystal cities that touched the clouds, of gardens that floated in the sky, of technology so advanced that Valari had not known war for 1,000 years. Her people lived for 500 years. They could speak to each other with their minds. They could move things without touching them. But with all this power, they had also become proud. They believed they were better than all other beings in the galaxy. They had rules against speaking to lesser species, against helping them, against even acknowledging they existed. Humans were one of these lesser species. "They think humans are animals," Yuna explained one evening, her language skills now much better. "They think you cannot really think or feel. Just react like insects." Diane laughed at this. "And what do you think?" Yuna looked at him for a long moment. "I think they are wrong. I think they are very wrong." She told him why she had to run. Her father was the emperor of the Valari. He was old and sick, and he had made a decision that Yuna could not accept. He had ordered the destruction of a young planet, a planet where a new species was just beginning to build its first cities. The reason was simple. That planet had resources the Valari wanted, and the young species was in the way. Yuna had refused to be silent. She had spoken against her father in the imperial court. She had called his decision murder. For this crime, speaking against the emperor, the punishment was death. Even for a princess. Even for his own daughter. "So they sent ships to kill you," Doyun said quietly. "Yes, but first, they sent one ship to bring me home. I escaped. Then they sent assassins. That was when my ship crashed." She touched her side, where the wound had now healed, leaving only a small scar. Then they sent warships. 3 of them. And I destroyed them all, Doyen said with a small smile. You did? Yuna shook her head slowly, still amazed. In all the history of the Valari Empire, no single person has ever destroyed 3 warships alone. And you did it in this small, old ship. Hey, don't insult the Morning Star. She's a good ship. Yuna laughed. It was a sound like bells ringing, soft and musical. Diane liked that sound. He wanted to hear it more often. In return, Yun told Yuna about Earth. He told her about blue oceans and green forests, about mountains covered in snow and deserts where nothing grew. He told her about the billions of people living there, fighting and loving and building and dreaming. He told her about his own story. He was born in a small town in Korea. His parents died when he was young, and he grew up in an orphanage with hundreds of other children. There was not enough food, not enough attention, not enough love. He learned early that if he wanted something, he had to fight for it. When he was old enough, he left Earth. There was nothing for him there. No family, no home, no future. In space, he could be free. He could be himself. He bought the Morning Star with every coin he had saved and started his new life. You were alone, Yuna said softly. Your whole life, you were alone. I was, Diane admitted. I got used to it. But do you like it? Being alone? Diane thought about this question. He had never really asked himself before. Being alone was just how things were. He did not think about liking or not liking it. I don't know, he finally said. I never had another choice. Yuna moved closer to him. They were sitting in the small kitchen area of the ship, eating dinner. It was rice and vegetables again, but Yuna had learned to like this simple food. In her palace, she had eaten the finest meals in the galaxy, prepared by the best cooks. But none of it had tasted as good as this simple food, eaten with someone who cared about her. You have a choice now, she said quietly. Doyen looked at her. Her silver eyes were shining in the dim light of the ship. She was so different from him. An alien princess from the most powerful empire in the galaxy. He was just a human, a cargo pilot, a nobody. They should have nothing in common, but they had everything in common. Both of them were alone. Both of them had no home to return to. Both of them had been thrown away by the worlds they came from. Yeah, Diane said. I guess I do. That night, something changed between them. It was not dramatic. There was no big moment, no declaration of feelings. It was small and quiet, like the first light of morning. They were sitting together, watching the stars through the window. The quiet zone had no planets, no asteroids, nothing but empty space and distant lights. It was beautiful in its emptiness. Yuna's hand found Doyen's hand. Her fingers were cool and soft, her skin smooth like silk. She did not say anything. She just held his hand and watched the stars. Doyen did not pull away. He held her hand back, feeling the strange warmth that grew in his chest. He had never felt this before. He had never been close to anyone before. It was new and strange and a little frightening, but also wonderful. In my culture, Yuna said after a long silence, when two people hold hands, it means they are choosing to face the future together. Whatever comes, and what comes next? Doyen asked. I do not know. The warships will keep looking for me. My father will not stop until I am dead. We cannot hide forever. Then we won't hide forever. Yuna looked at him, surprise in her silver eyes. What do you mean? I mean, running and hiding is not living. We've been safe here for 3 weeks, but we can't stay here forever. We need food, fuel, parts for the ship. And you. He paused, choosing his words carefully. You need to do something about your father. Do what? Fight the entire Valari Empire? With one small ship? I destroyed 3 warships with one small ship, Doyen reminded her. Maybe we can do more. This is crazy, Yuna said. But she was smiling. Maybe, but I've been crazy before. It worked out. Yuna laughed again, that beautiful sound like bells. She squeezed his hand tighter. You humans, she said. You do not have telepathy. You do not have shields or weapons or advanced technology. You do not live long lives. But you have something my people do not have. What's that? Hope, she said. Foolish, impossible hope. You look at problems that cannot be solved, and you try to solve them anyway. You look at enemies that cannot be defeated, and you fight them anyway. It is stupid. It makes no sense. She smiled at him, her silver eyes warm. But it is also beautiful. Diane smiled back at her. So what do you want to do? Yuna took a deep breath. I want to go back. I want to stop my father from destroying that planet. I want to save those people. Then that's what we'll do. You will help me? Even though it is probably impossible. Even though we will probably die? I've been probably dying since the moment I pulled you from that crashed ship, Doyen said. What's a little more danger? Yuna leaned her head against his shoulder. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was not alone. For the first time, she had found someone who would stand with her, not because of duty or fear or money, but because he chose to. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For being you. For being human. They sat together in the quiet darkness, holding hands, watching the stars. Tomorrow, they would start planning. Tomorrow, they would begin their impossible fight against the most powerful empire in the galaxy. But tonight, they just sat together. Two lonely people who had found each other in the vastness of space. An alien princess and a human cargo pilot. The most unlikely pair in the universe, and maybe, just maybe, the most dangerous. The three warships were fast. Much faster than the Morning Star. Their engines burned bright blue against the black of space, and they moved through the asteroid belt like sharks through water. They were hunting, and they would not stop until they found their prey. Doyen watched them on his screen. His heart was beating fast, but his hands were steady on the controls. He had flown through this asteroid belt for 3 years. He knew every rock, every shadow, every hiding place. These alien ships did not. Come on, he whispered. Follow me. He turned the Morning Star toward a cluster of large asteroids. The rocks were close together, spinning slowly, creating a maze of stone and shadow. A big ship could not fly through there, but his small ship could. Yuna sat behind him, still weak from her wound. She watched the screen with wide eyes. She understood what was happening. The ships chasing them were from her own people. They were not here to rescue her. They were here to kill her. She wanted to tell Doyen this. She wanted to tell him that he should let her go, that fighting the Valari warships was impossible, that no human could win against them. But she did not have the words. And something in his eyes told her he would not listen anyway. Doyen flew into the asteroid maze. The rocks were everywhere, above and below, left and right. One wrong move and the Morning Star would crash into stone and become dust. But Doyen did not make wrong moves. His hands danced over the controls, turning and spinning, flying between rocks that seemed too close together for any ship to pass. The first warship tried to follow. It was big, at least 10 times the size of the Morning Star. Its pilot was good, but not good enough. The ship tried to fit between 2 spinning asteroids and failed. The rocks crushed its wings, and it spun out of control, crashing into a larger asteroid in a ball of fire and light. Yuna made a small sound. She had known people on that ship, guards who had served her family for years. But they had turned against her, following orders to kill her instead of protect her. She felt sad and angry at the same time. The 2 remaining ships learned from the first one. They did not follow Doyen into the maze. Instead, they flew around it, trying to catch him on the other side. But Doyen was smart. He did not fly straight through. He turned and twisted, changing direction many times, coming out from a different place than they expected. When the morning star came out of the asteroid maze, the warships were on the wrong side, far away. Doyen used this time to fly as fast as he could toward another group of asteroids. "They are too fast," Yuna said in her language. She did not expect Doyen to understand, but she needed to speak. "We cannot run forever." But Doyen was not planning to run forever. He was planning something else. He flew toward a large asteroid with a deep hole in its side. The hole was actually a cave, created by some ancient crash millions of years ago. Doyen had found it 2 years ago and had used it sometimes to hide from space pirates. He flew the morning star into the cave and turned off the engine. The ship became dark and quiet. Doyen held a finger to his lips, telling Yuna to be silent. She nodded and did not move. Outside, the two warships flew past the asteroid. They did not see the morning star hiding in the cave. Their sensors searched for the heat of his engine, but with the engine off, there was no heat to find. They flew past, confused, searching in the wrong direction. Doyen waited. Minutes passed. The warships flew further away, still searching. When they were far enough, Doyen turned on his engine again and flew out of the cave, going the opposite direction. But the warships had better sensors than he thought. The moment his engine turned on, they saw him. They turned around and came after him again, faster than before. They were angry now. Doyen flew toward a part of the asteroid belt that most pilots avoided. It was called the Grinding Stones by the miners. Large asteroids moved here in strange patterns, coming close together and then moving apart, again and again. It was dangerous. Very dangerous. "Hold on tight," Doyen said to Yuna. She grabbed the wall hard as the morning star entered the grinding stones. The asteroids moved around them like giant teeth, opening and closing. Doyen had to time everything perfectly. Too fast and he would crash. Too slow and he would be crushed. The first warship followed him in. Its pilot was brave, maybe too brave. The ship flew between two closing asteroids and almost made it through. Almost. The rocks came together at the last moment, crushing the back of the warship. It exploded, lighting up the space around them. One ship left, but this ship was different. Its pilot had learned from watching the others die. Instead of following Doyen through the grinding stones, it flew above them, waiting for him to come out. And it called for more ships. Doyen's screen showed 5 more warships coming from far away. In 1 hour, they would be here. He could not fight 5 warships. He could not even fight one. He flew out of the grinding stones and found the last warship waiting for him. It was closer now, close enough to shoot. A beam of red light flew past the morning star, missing it by meters. Doyen turned hard to the left. Another beam of light flew past. Then another. The warship was firing at him, but Doyen kept moving, never flying in a straight line, making himself a difficult target, but he could not dodge forever. And his ship had no weapons. He was a cargo pilot, not a soldier. Then he saw something on his screen. A mining station, abandoned, floating among the asteroids. It had been empty for years, since the company that owned it ran out of money. But its fuel tanks were still there. Old fuel, sitting in large metal containers. Doyen smiled. It was not a nice smile. He flew toward the mining station with the warship following close behind. The warship kept firing, and some shots came very close. The morning star shook as one beam hit its wing, but Doyen kept flying. He flew between the fuel tanks, close enough to touch them. The warship followed, still firing. One of its shots hit a fuel tank. The old fuel exploded with a brightness that hurt to look at. Then another tank exploded, and another. The whole mining station became a ball of fire. The warship, too close to escape, was caught in the explosion. Its shields held for a moment, 2 moments, then failed. The fire consumed it. Doyan flew away from the explosion, his ship damaged but still working. Behind him, there was nothing left of the warship but pieces of burning metal. Yuna stared at the screen, unable to believe what she had seen. 3 Velari warships, each one carrying the best soldiers of the Empire, destroyed by 1 human in a small cargo ship. It was impossible. It should have been impossible. She looked at Dian. He was breathing hard, sweat on his face, hands still tight on the controls. He did not look like a warrior. He looked like a tired man who had been lucky. But Yuna knew it was not just luck. It was something more. Something she did not have a word for. "More coming," she said, pointing at the screen where the 5 new ships were still approaching. Doyan nodded. He was tired, and his ship was damaged. He could not fight 5 more warships. He knew this. "We need to hide," he said slowly so Yuna might understand. "Hide. Safe place." Yuna thought about this. She knew places the warships would not go. Places even the Velari feared. But going there would be dangerous for both of them. She looked at Doyan again. This human who had saved her life and fought impossible odds to protect her. She made a decision. She pointed to a direction on his navigation screen, toward a part of space that was dark and empty on the map. "There," she said. "Safe." Diane looked at where she was pointing. There was nothing there on his maps. Just empty space. But he trusted her. He did not know why, but he did. He turned the morning star toward the empty darkness and flew. Behind them, the 5 warships continued their hunt. But they would not find their prey. Not today. Yuna watched Doyan as he flew, his face tired but determined. She thought about her life in the palace, surrounded by servants and guards who would never fight for her the way this human did. She thought about the assassins sent by her own family to kill her because she knew too much. And she thought about the future, whatever it might bring. One thing she knew for certain. She would not leave this human side. He had earned her loyalty in a way no one ever had before. Not with money or power or promises, but with courage and kindness. The morning star flew into the darkness, leaving the hunt behind. Han Doyan was alone in space. This was nothing new. He had been alone for 3 years now, flying his old cargo ship through the asteroid belt, carrying supplies from one mining station to another. It was not exciting work. It was not important work. But it paid enough to keep his ship running and food in his stomach. His ship was called the Morning Star. It was small and old, with rust on the walls and an engine that made strange sounds. But Doyan loved it. It was his home. The only home he had left after Earth became too crowded and too expensive for simple people like him. On this night, if you could call it night in space, Doyan was eating his dinner. It was rice and dried vegetables, the same thing he ate every day. He was watching the stars through his small window when something caught his eye. A light, bright and orange, moving fast between the asteroids. Doyan put down his food and moved to the control panel. He pressed some buttons and the screen showed him what was out there. A ship, but not like any ship he had seen before. It was beautiful, shaped like a silver leaf with strange symbols on its side. And it was burning. Fire and smoke poured from its back. It was spinning, out of control, heading straight toward a large asteroid. Doyan's hands moved before his brain could think. He grabbed the controls and turned his ship toward the burning vessel. His old engine screamed in protest, but the Morning Star moved faster than it had in years. "Come on, old girl," Doyan whispered to his ship. "Just a little more." The silver ship hit the asteroid. but not as hard as it could have. It scraped along the rock and came to a stop, half buried in dust and stone. Dion landed his ship nearby and put on his spacesuit. He should not do this. He knew he should not do this. The ship was alien, unknown, maybe dangerous. Smart people would fly away and report it to the authorities. But Doyen was not always smart. He was, however, kind. And he could not leave someone to die, even if that someone was not human. The walk to the crashed ship took 5 minutes. The alien vessel was bigger up close, maybe 3 times the size of his own ship. There was a hole in its side where something had exploded. Diane climbed through carefully. Inside, the ship was dark. Red emergency lights blinked slowly. The air was thin but breathable. Strange technology covered the walls, things Doyen could not understand. He moved forward, stepping over broken pieces of metal and glass. Then he heard it, a soft sound, like someone crying. Doyen followed the sound to a small room at the center of the ship. The door was stuck, so he pushed hard until it opened. What he saw inside made him stop breathing for a moment. She was not human, that was clear. Her skin was pale blue, like the sky on a winter morning. Her hair was white as snow and fell to her waist. She wore clothes made of something that looked like liquid silver. But her eyes were the strangest thing. They were large and silver, with no white part at all, and they shined like mirrors. She was beautiful. And she was hurt. Blood, or something like blood, purple in color, came from a wound on her side. She was holding it with both hands, trying to stop the flow. When she saw Doyen, her eyes went wide with fear. "It's okay," Doyen said, holding up his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm here to help." She said something in a language he did not understand. Her voice was like music, soft and flowing, but full of pain. Doyen moved slowly toward her. He took off his jacket and pressed it against her wound. She made a small sound of pain but did not push him away. Her silver eyes watched his face, searching for something. "I need to take you to my ship," Doyen said slowly, pointing to himself and then to the hole in her ship. "My ship. Safe. Medicine." She seemed to understand, or at least she did not fight him when he picked her up. She was lighter than he expected, like she was made of air and light instead of flesh and bone. He carried her through her broken ship, out into the cold space, and back to the morning star. Inside his ship, Doyen put her on his bed. It was small and not very comfortable, but it was clean. He found his medical kit and opened it. He was not a doctor, but living alone in space, you learn to fix yourself. The wound was deep but clean. He used alcohol to clean it, and she grabbed his arm hard, her fingers stronger than they looked. But she did not cry out. She just watched him with those silver eyes, never looking away. Doyen worked carefully. He closed the wound with special tape and covered it with bandages. He gave her water, and she drank it like she had not had water in days. Then he gave her some of his food, and she ate it slowly, still watching him. "Who are you?" Diane asked, not expecting an answer. She touched her chest and said a word. "Yuna, Yuna," Doyen repeated. It was a pretty name. A Korean name, strangely enough. "I'm Doyen, Han Doyen." "Doyen," she said slowly, testing the sound on her tongue. Then she did something that surprised him. She smiled. It was small and weak, but it was real. Outside the ship, Doyen's sensors began to beep. He looked at the screen and felt his heart drop. 3 ships were coming. Big ships. Warships. And they were heading straight for them. Yuna saw the screen too. Her face went pale, even paler than before. She grabbed Doyen's hand and said one word he could understand, a word that seemed to be the same in any language. "Run." Doyen looked at this strange alien woman, this Yuna, who had fallen from the sky into his life. He looked at the ships coming to find her. He should give her up. He should hand her over and go back to his simple life. That would be the smart thing to do. But Han Do-yeon was not always smart. He sat down in his pilot chair and started the engine. The Morning Star shook and groaned, but it flew. It flew away from the crashed silver ship, away from the approaching warships, and into the dark space between the asteroids. "Hold on," Do-yeon said to Yuna. "This is going to be rough." She did not understand his words, but she understood his meaning. She held onto the wall and watched as this human, this strange small creature from a planet she had never heard of, risked his life to save hers. She did not know why he was doing this. Her people would not do this. They would not risk themselves for a stranger. But this human did. And as the Morning Star flew deeper into the asteroid belt, Yuna made a decision. She would stay with him. No matter what came next, she would stay with this human named Do-yeon, because in all her years as a princess of the Valari Empire, no one had ever been so kind to her. The warships followed them into the darkness, but Do-yeon kept flying. And Yuna kept watching him with her silver eyes, wondering what other surprises this human had inside him.